is covered. And if it's going to be the general welfare clause, what's the point of having a 10th Amendment?
I love this question. The simple answer to your question is it's not. If you know my record, you know that every year the United States Congress, but actually know that in 1994 when I ran for Congress, I promised that I would introduce as my first bill a bill called the Enumerated Powers Act. The Enumerated Powers Act says to a member of Congress, if you're going to introduce a bill, you have to cite a specific provision of the Constitution that authorizes the federal government, as opposed to the states or localities, to legislate priorities. I do not believe the general welfare clause would authorize us to pass this legislation. I don't believe it authorizes us to pass a lot of the legislation we pass. I have fought every year to get the Enumerated Powers Act to pass. I now have more co-sponsors in the House than I've ever had, and Senator Tom Grover of Oklahoma and Senator Jim DeMint of South Carolina have sponsored a companion bill in the Senate. The answer is that it isn't within any of the enumerated powers of the Constitution. You go back and read the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says that those powers not specifically delegated to the federal government, nor reserved by this Constitution to the states, are reserved to the people. So his point is, this bill is unconstitutional. I can't argue the point. Other than to say you're right, but unfortunately, I don't know if the Supreme Court will read life back into the 10th Amendment. I hope it does. Yes, sir. There's a smart guy that knows the Constitution.
First of all, I want to compliment you on your civil and respectful presentation.
Thank you.
From other meetings I've seen around the country, that is always the case. My question goes to cost control. And I'd start by saying that 11 years ago, Congress created what's now called Medicare Advantage plans and introduced competition in the Medicare and private insurers to help go forward to compete with one another rather than a strictly government plan. Most Medicare beneficiaries are now covered under Medicare Advantage. Yet it has a costs. So competition doesn't always work. Now that may be different than what you suggested. What I think is the problem, as far as costs go, is more illustrated by your Trent Lott anecdote that people don't know how much it costs. Right? In any system where the consumer doesn't know how much they're paying, they're not going to care, and it's the consumer, not the businesses, not the government, who's going to make the difference.
I agree.
I think a solution that would give the consumer a certain amount of money to spend and that would reveal how much each charge costs them would ultimately be the best way to keep things under control.
I think we're on the exact same page. What he's pointing out is that when you don't know how much any given service that you're buying costs, and the truth is none of us do. I went today and got a treadmill because I do have a heart condition. I had no idea what my cardiologist is charging me for that treadmill. Now, why didn't I ask? I didn't ask because I'm not paying the bill. The Federal Employees Health Benefits Plan is paying the bill. And your point is exactly right. When I'm spending somebody else's money, I don't care how much it costs. So I didn't ask my cardiologist, what do you charge us? That is one of the huge incentives that's wrong in the current system. And that's what's illustrated, as he pointed out, by the conversation with Trent Lott. It's already paid for, it's free. I exhibited that in my own conduct today. Some of my colleagues would say that the way to fix that is to pass more regulations, forcing the hospitals and the labs and the doctors to disclose their prices. What I would suggest to you is that's got economics upside down. If in fact, when I went and got my treadmill today, I was spending either John Shadegg's money or I was spending money out of a plan that I had bought, having made the decision how much I was going to spend to buy that plan, I would have asked my doctor how much he would be charging for that treadmill. And I think you are exactly right. When you empower consumers, they will demand to know the price. They'll demand to know, well, if you give me a CAT scan or an MRI, how much does the CAT scan cost? How much does the MRI cost? And then if the doctor says, well, you need the MRI, which is more than the CAT scan, I don't know if that's backwards, but the patient would say, well, why do I need a more expensive one? We have taken out of all healthcare, and your question is absolutely right, any incentive for the consumer, you or me, to demand price transparency and to demand the lowest cost for the service we're getting. I think we've got on. Yes, sir. I hope I can convince my colleagues in Washington of that.
Thank you, Congressman, for coming here tonight. I wanted to tell you about my number one concern, which you didn't talk about.
Okay?
20 years ago, I had a liver transplant, and I get excellent care from the Mayo Clinic here, which Arizonans can be very proud of. But my concern is that if this thing here passes, scary chart,
Right.
that there will be somebody from Washington getting in the way of the relationship between me and my doctors, telling me, oh, wait, no, you can't have that procedure or test or whatever it is you need. It has to be approved by the government first. So that's my number one concern, the government getting in the way of that doctor-patient relationship. And I just want you to reassure me that this monstrosity will never come to pass.
I'm literally going to applaud you because you said it better than I can say it. And I will tell you, my number one concern is none of the three of us. My number one concern is your number one concern. I am deeply worried that the government is going to insert itself between me and my doctor. This is another important way to express this concept. It's important for you to understand that in this third-party payer system, where we let our employers pick a plan, and the plan pick our doctor, because the tax code makes that the system, we are allowing our employer and the plan our employer picked to stand between us and our doctor. You and I, if we have a employer right here, didn't get to hire our doctor, didn't get to hire our plan, we can't fire our doctor and we can't fire our plan. That's outrageous. These are people that have control of our lives, and we can't hire them and we can't fire them. I tell people, if you went home tonight, you got two envelopes. One was an auto insurance bill, and one was their health insurance bill, and they said they were going to double the rate. You can open the auto insurance bill and say, I'd like, hey, you're going to double my rate, I'm going to fire you. And I'm going to go buy someone else's policy. You got a letter from your health insurer that said, I'm going to double your rate. What could you do? You could do nothing. You can't fire them. Now, this gentleman is pointing out that, and I wish that young man who asked me why I opposed, I hope he's still here, why I opposed the Obama plan. The Obama plan says, you're right, you shouldn't have your employer and the plan your employer picked between you and your doctor. What Obama says is we should put the government between you and your doctor. I don't want the government between me and my doctor. I gotta say one more thing. If you want to be scared to death, on your way home tonight, buy the Wall Street Journal. Or, go online and get the Wall Street Journal. Go online and get the Wall Street Journal. On the op-ed page today, in the Wall Street Journal, is a column that tells you that one of the key players in healthcare in the Obama administration is a guy named Ezekiel Emanuel. He is Ron Emanuel's brother. And if you want to be scared to death, about the government standing between you and your doctor, this guy's scarier than that. Because what he says is that the hit price